While Trump conducts his war against Greentech, many U.S. states are forging ahead with energy expansion based on sun, wind, and water. Greentech's slashing of the cost of renewable energy production and use has made states turn to it, not only to protect the climate, but to make energy affordable to their people. The U.S. federal system gives states a powerful position in energy policy. States regulate electric generation, local distribution of electricity, and infrastructure siting. They can set policy in myriad other areas, from urban planning to public transit to housing, that can help shape the utilization of climate-protecting Greentech. Shortly after his inauguration, President Trump issued an executive order entitled Protecting American Energy from State Overreach. The order describes state clean energy policies as burdensome and ideologically motivated climate change or energy policies that threaten American energy dominance and our economic and national security. The order called on the Attorney General to take action against these state laws, and she began to file lawsuits against them almost immediately. This executive order was followed by many other Trump efforts to hamstring or outlaw state climate policies, ranging from blocking California emission standards to forced reopening of shuttered coal-fired power plants. Meanwhile, recent headlines have publicized retrenchment in state climate policies. New York State abandoned its commitment to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 40% from 1990 levels by 2030, substituting weaker and squishier targets. California also relaxed requirements for emissions reduction, although the change continues to be contested in the state legislature. In both cases, energy affordability was given as a reason, although advocates of both changes acknowledged that they would not bring down energy prices anytime soon. Both New York and California changes were preceded by heavy fossil fuel industry lobbying. Such retreats register the reality that Trump's attacks are restricting the development of the Greentech New Deal. Federal defunding of climate-protecting initiatives has made them more expensive. Regulatory changes and subsidies have advantaged fossil fuels, and legal attacks have undermined the Greentech revolution. But these retreats should not conceal the advances the Greentech revolution has made in the U.S. states, even during the first year and a half of the Trump era. Today's Greentech advances in the states typically combine climate protection with affordability. That's possible because Greentech has made production and use of renewable energy so much cheaper, rendering fossil fuels non-competitive. California, now the world's fourth largest economy, illustrates the collision of the irresistible force of the Greentech revolution with the immovable object of the Trumpian fossil fuel counter-revolution. In recent years, it has faced devastating heat waves, droughts, storms, wildfires, and other extreme weather conditions resulting from global warming. Not surprisingly, an overwhelming proportion of Californians worry about climate change and back policies to fight it. In 2006, California passed AB 32, the Global Warming Solutions Act, which set targets for greenhouse gas emissions and sets a declining limit on total emissions by the state's major polluters. Over the next 20 years, California substantially raised its targets and implemented many other climate protection policies. From 2001 to 2019, California reduced its carbon emissions by 25%, leaving a typical Californian emitting only half as much as other Americans. In 2004, California's natural gas generation fell by 8%. Coal is expected to soon be eliminated entirely from its electrical supply. By the end of 2025, the state had 2.5 times more battery storage available than it did in 2022. As soon as Trump was inaugurated president, he began a massive attack on California's climate protection efforts. For example, he attacked the state's first-in-the-nation ban on the sale of new gas-powered cars by 2035. The state sued to preserve the ban. In 2025, it extended the cap-and-trade program, renamed Cap and Invest, for 15 years. Then Governor Newsom, under heavy lobbying from California's oil industry, announced a new plan which offered free pollution permits worth as much as $4 billion to oil refineries and other major polluters. Legislative leaders are refusing to accept the plan, however, and have refused to fund many of Newsom's other programs until he abandons his plan. Contested negotiations are expected to continue until the legislative session ends in September. The result is hanging in the balance. The California climate drama should not obscure what is happening in other states. Soon after Trump's inauguration, Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey issued an executive order that directs the state to procure 10 gigawatts of clean energy and 5 gigawatts of battery storage by 2035. The governor's office projects up to $10 billion in savings for residents and businesses. Massachusetts also announced $180 million in immediate utility rate reductions. This cut residential electricity bills by up to 25% for 2 months. Maryland's Utility Relief, Reducing Energy Load Inflation for Everyday Families Act, provides $200 million from the state's Strategic Energy Investment Fund to accelerate local clean energy development and storage, and provides targeted utility bill relief. An Affordable Solar Act, which would add up to 4 gigawatts of new solar capacity by 2035, promote plug-in solar, and improve grid access, is pending in the legislature. Upon her inauguration, New Jersey Governor Mikey Sherrill declared a state of emergency on utility costs. An executive order directed the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities to pursue rate relief by pausing new hikes and delivering residential bill credits. Another ordered rapid expansion of solar and battery storage and streamlining of the permitting process. In March, the BPU approved the expansion of the state's community solar program, adding 3 gigawatts of new capacity, with low-income households guaranteed a discount of at least 25% on their bills. According to American Progress, this expansion was the largest of a state-run program in the country's history, and the program has already delivered more than $70 million in bill credits to households across the state. The governor also signed a measure that increases transmission-scale storage across the state, helping store low-cost clean energy and deploy it during peak demand to reduce price spikes and improve reliability. In Pennsylvania, the PA EDGE, Pennsylvania Economic Development for a Growing Economy, creates tax credit programs for billions of dollars in energy and advanced manufacturing investment, including clean energy technologies. In June 2026, the Pennsylvania House put a cap on profits from utility company investments in infrastructure and eliminated nearly $1.7 billion in taxes that electricity companies now pass along to consumers as part of their bills. In Virginia, a clean energy package includes streamlining solar siting, expanding storage connections to the grid, limiting carbon-emitting backup generators at data centers, and expanding virtual power plant programs that let utilities draw on distributed clean energy sources such as rooftop solar and home batteries. One of the main objections to renewable energy has always been that it becomes unavailable when the sun doesn't shine or the wind doesn't blow. This objection has been largely overcome by Greentech's radical reduction in the cost of energy storage. As a result, the most recent wave of state programs has put battery storage front and center. Illinois' Clean and Reliable Grid Affordability Act instructs the state to procure 3 gigawatts of new battery storage by 2030 to help stabilize electricity prices. It also includes a Storage for All program that provides incentives for income-qualified households and businesses to install battery systems co-located with solar projects. The Illinois Power Agency expects the act to save customers $13.4 billion over 2 decades. Pennsylvania is investing $22 million to help battery manufacturer EOS Energy Enterprises expand battery manufacturing operations in the Pittsburgh area. The expansion is expected to create 735 new jobs in Allegheny County. Last year, the workers at EOS Energy voted to join the United Steelworkers Union. EOS also announced a plan to develop energy storage projects across Pennsylvania. Another obstacle facing renewable energy is that the location where it is needed is not necessarily the location where it is produced. So state policies are addressing the extreme inadequacies of the electrical grid. For example, the state of Washington has established the Washington Electric Transmission Authority, a new state entity empowered to plan, site, and finance transmission infrastructure. New Mexico and Colorado have established similar authorities. New technology doesn't always mean greater complexity. Witness the emergence of small solar systems that hang on a balcony and plug right into a wall socket. More than 1 million homes in Germany now have such balcony power plants, but they are forbidden in the U.S. Last year, the Utah legislature voted unanimously to let residents use plug-in collectors. 23 other state legislatures are now considering similar bills. According to the New York Times, such legislation would eliminate one of the technology's biggest barriers in the United States. Homeowners or renters could install plug-in systems without approval from their local utilities. A common complaint against large-scale solar projects is that they use up land that would otherwise be available for agriculture. However, solar projects are now actually supporting agriculture by the new techniques known as agrivoltaics. State policies are now promoting agrivoltaics. Last year, the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities launched a new dual-use pilot project to organize and accelerate agrivoltaic development in the state. The 3-year pilot program calls for up to 200 megawatts of solar power, with Rutgers University applying its agrivoltaics research to develop best practices and guidelines. Connecticut, Maryland, and Virginia also have agrivoltaics programs underway. Renewable energy projects can also contribute to improved land use by utilizing currently degraded spaces like landfills and contaminated industrial sites. An example is New Jersey's Brownfields Redevelopment Incentive Program, accompanied by a landfill to solar online guide for local governments and solar developers, created by the Governor's Office of Climate Action and the Green Economy. An already completed example is the Toms River Project, the largest solar power plant in New Jersey, and also the largest solar array on a Superfund site anywhere in the U.S. The expansion of Greentech in the Trump era has by no means been limited to blue states. Some of the most extensive installations of Greentech are in red states, witness Texas. Utility-scale solar plants produce 45 terawatts from January through September 2025, up 50% from 2024, and nearly 4 times what they generated in 2021. Wind power also continued to climb, producing 87 terawatts through September, a 4% increase from 2024 and a 36% increase from 2021. Together, wind and solar supplied more than a third of Texas's electricity in the first 9 months of 2025. Battery use is also growing. 3 of the 4 largest U.S. battery storage projects scheduled to open in 2026 are in Texas. Solar collection and battery storage are now being systematically combined. One dual project is adding 873 megawatts of solar power and 418 megawatts in battery energy storage capacity. In Nevada, generally regarded as a purple state, a third of all energy demand is now met by solar panels. The state has the highest solar electricity generation per capita in the country, as well as the most solar industry jobs per capita. The goal of producing half of its electricity from renewables by 2030 is enshrined in the state's constitution. The Las Vegas region has the highest concentration of residential rooftop solar in the continental U.S. The city's chief sustainability officer attributes this in part to the city's easy permitting. You're pretty much in and out of our office with a permit in 30 minutes. In the absence of federal support, states are reaching out to each other to create regional alliances to implement Greentech. For example, 13 states have formed the Geothermal Power Accelerator Collaboration to rapidly expand geothermal power development. Another example, the California State Legislature passed Assembly Bill 825 to begin the process of establishing a regional electricity partnership across the West. In late June, the state of Washington joined the partnership along with California and Quebec. And after briefly withdrawing, Virginia rejoined the 11-member Northeastern Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative. In some states like Texas, the Greentech boom is occurring without much attempt to reap its potential social benefits. But in many states, as we will see in a subsequent commentary in this series, the Greentech revolution is enabling a broader program for jobs and justice that embodies the principles of the Green New Deal. That, in turn, is laying the basis for a national Greentech New Deal to come. Looming over recent climate politics has been the issue of energy affordability. Because Greentech has made the production and use of renewable energy so much less costly than fossil fuel energy, states have accelerated their introduction of it. But the energy cost squeeze on consumers has in some cases also led states to short-sightedly reduce investment in Greentech and unleash fossil fuels. These dynamics are now being exacerbated by the escalation in fossil fuel prices and the threat of energy insecurity that have accompanied the Iran war. The relative expense and unreliability of fossil fuel energy is likely to accelerate Greentech in the states. States that don't want to render their economies stranded assets should go all out for the Greentech revolution right now.